Welcome to the Patterson Library Connection. In this episode of our podcast, we'll share good news and library happenings, talk to fun and interesting guests, and connect with our Patterson community. I'm Lillie Muscente, the Director of Marketing and Programming here at the library. On today's episode, I'm joined by Rebekkah Smith Aldrich, the Executive Director at the Mid-Hudson Library System. We're talking about the partnership between the Mid-Hudson Library System and the Tempestry Project, which tells the story of our changing climate through art. We'll hear what it's all about, how our community and libraries got involved, and where you can check it out for yourself. Thanks for joining us. Now let's get started. Hey, Adam.
Hi, Lillie.
Hi, how's everything going?
It's going well. Very busy, moving along with spring, getting ready for summer. I feels like it's been here already. I think we had a heat wave.
Yeah, we had a little taste of summer, right?
Too soon, yeah.
Yeah, well, we have a great reminder of summer coming here. And every year, this time of year, we plant our vegetable garden. So I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I did. I saw. I'm jealous, actually. Well, we don't have a garden this year, just not as substantial. We had to go about prepping for maybe a garden next year. We have things to do.
Well, we're lucky. We have help with the garden prepping. Peterson's Nursery does come in and do a great job getting all the beds ready and getting the soil, ready to go for us. So it really is a big help. And mostly they weed and everything is nice and clean for us. So it's a blank canvas. And then we usually have the Cornell Cooperative Extension come in with their master gardeners and people help us plant. So, which we had planned for Tuesday and it was great, all ready to go. We had a great turnout. The master gardeners came and it was so hot. So we had the lecture portion and then we did not plant with everybody because it was so hot out there. It was 96 degrees.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it was. So we skipped that. So it did get planted thanks to my amazing staff here. Amanda Booth, our head of circulation, and two of our youth services assistants, Sarah and Hope, did help plant, and we got it done. Over 140 plants are in that garden.
Wow.
So we did get it done. It looks great. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. There's actually some cool stuff for the kids, so you'll have to bring your son by and take a look. There's a taco garden, a salsa garden, a pizza garden, a sensory garden.
You're speaking my language, Lillie. I'm just going to come.
Well, like the taco garden has cilantro, tomatoes, peppers, and onions, and we have a pizza garden that has tomatoes and basil and things like it. It's very thematic that way.
Any hot peppers? That'd be for me, or is that too dangerous for the kids?
No, we actually usually do put in. So we do have some jalapenos going in. Yeah, so
I'll visit that garden.
Yes, it's really fun. Then we have a sensory garden, and then we have some pollinator plants, pumpkins. So it's a whole mix of stuff. So it'll be fun. So let's just hope I get something out of this garden. Every now and then we get we get this great bounty of stuff, and then some years there's like nothing. So I can never tell what's going to happen.
If only vegetables can be like weeds. They're not stoppable.
It really is a great library garden. I think the kids love it, adults love it, and we really enjoy having a lot of classes out there and teaching people how to garden and how to cook with the vegetables. We combine a lot of things with the programming and the garden itself. So it's great because a lot of people come in and they borrow our tools, our garden tools from the tool shed. And you can, that's a big help if you don't have like spades and rakes and post hole digger. I used it out there to do the pollinators because they were bigger. So there's so many great things, that you can do when you have the right tools and stuff, and makes the garden project so much easier. So yeah, it's always one of my favorite things to kick off summer here at the library. I do think it's such a great asset for people to see and for kids to learn about how to grow their own food. And I love the sensory garden. They come in and they smell like the rosemary and the lavender, and then there's some lamb's ear there that feels really soft. So, we had a little kid once come in and look at the cucumbers, and he's yelling to his mom, pickles, they have pickles, and eucalyptus that smells like Vicks.
Toddlers like pickles.
Yeah,
that's the thing. They love pickles, the salty pickles, I
Yeah,
guess.
they do.
Yeah.
They do, especially when they grow their own. See, like
There you
that's
go.
just it. We had so many kids, last year out there picking the cherry tomatoes, which I
Oh, yeah.
loved. They were like, "Oh, look, we could pick this," and I'm like, "Sure, go through." And we let the little kids pick. Obviously, we do like having the veggies out there so that people can come and take a look and see. But I love that families come through and really enjoy being out there. So.
Do you have the seed library going this year? Can we get
Yes,
seeds
we
this
do.
year? Okay.
Yes, you just have to come in and you ask Cirque to help you. There's a binder filled with all flowers and vegetables, and you kind
Yeah.
of can choose what you need. And you
And that's
can get
free.
seeds. It's free.
You save a good amount of money if you want to get some seeds there.
Oh yeah.
So
and we
come
have
to
a
the library.
great variety.
Yeah, absolutely. We did
There's
it last
all
year.
kinds of
Loved it.
Yeah. No, I have some bachelor buttons and cosmos I got from our seed library, and they've sprouted like right on time. They were just like, as soon as we put them in, like a week later, we had plants, and I just planted them last night. So yeah, so it's good.
It's all
I
happening.
think it's all good. So yeah, so we're stepping into summer,
Let's do it.
and now it's time for some good news. Our first round of pavers for the Pavers in the Park fundraiser have been installed in the walkway, and they look amazing. There are 14 engraved pavers, each with a special message. So to celebrate, we'll be hosting with a little ceremony on June 5th at 1 o'clock. Anyone who wants to come by is welcome, and people who bought the pavers and their families are invited, as is the public. So if you want to come by and take a look and join us for the special occasion, it's on June 5th again at 1 o'clock. And you know what? If you're looking for a special gift for Father's Day or for graduation, those pavers are a great way to honor someone you love. So if you're interested in purchasing a paver with your own personal message, just visit our website or give us a call. They are $175, and you know what's nice? You can stop by the library park now and take a look to see what you will be getting. And the park is such a great place for something like this. It's so great out there, and it's just a permanent way to honor someone. So come check it out. And on that note, just a reminder, our library park is a great place to come and spend some time. If you haven't been here, it's a beautiful setting with gorgeous flower gardens, including the Ferraro Garden, which is donated by our board president and secretary, Don and Judy Ferraro. There are picnic tables, benches, a game table for a game of checkers or chess, and a gazebo if you want some shade. It's the perfect place for lunch, to read a book, or just come by with the kids and just enjoy being outdoors. It's a really pretty setting, so I hope you'll come by and take a look. And we're also going to be putting out some lawn games for the kids. And we're hosting so many great programs this summer out there, including a great country concert on August 5th with Stephen Alexander, art classes, a plein air event, yoga and Tai Chi in the park, and a great colonial craft day, which is on July 10th from 2 to 5, where there will be live blacksmithing, weaving, copper punching demonstrations, and so much more. We're also going to have pony rides, celebrating Sybil Ludington's ride, and more. Plus the farmers market, which is now open every Friday from 3 to 7 on the lawn adjacent to the library, will be on. This will be a day you don't want to miss. Just one more reason to come to the Patterson Library. And that's our good news. Rebekkah Smith Aldrich, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm excited to learn more about this Tempestry project. So, for people that don't know, what does Tempestry mean?
The word tempestry is the combination of the words temperature and tapestry. And if you took a quick look at one tempestry, it would look like a big scarf hanging up in a vertical way. But what the scarf is representing is data, is climate data. So there's one tempestry for every year, and each year has 365 rows of data that have been knit together, so you can see the temperature across the 365 days of that year.
Wow, that's amazing. So how did you get involved with this project? Why did it appeal to you personally to get involved?
A big part of my professional interest is how libraries contribute to the resilience of their communities, whether it's weathering an economic shock or disruptions in technology or how we live our lives together. And one of the factors is climate change. And here in the Hudson Valley, we've seen definite changes in, for example, flooding, really extreme storms like Hurricane Irene. But we've also seen just what people think is mundane, but is very dangerous, like extended heat waves, where it just goes on for much longer than it used to. And folks sometimes can't pay for the electricity to cool their homes. They're finding their ways to their libraries. And so we're really interested in more people caring about that topic and working together to keep each other safe and healthy. So for a long time, I've been involved with helping people across our profession at an international level recognize the importance of libraries playing a role in educating people and problem solving with neighbors to make life more livable.
I know your focus on sustainability has been there for years, and I know we just did a program on climate change in the Hudson Valley, and there is a lot of interest. And this is such a fun and unique way for people to get a sense of it and seeing it visually as opposed to just getting statistics and reading it. How do you feel that seeing something visually like that in an art format is impacting people more than just reading it?
It's fascinating to me that at a glance, you get the message. Instead of reading a 4-page article about the climate data of the Hudson Valley and how things have changed, you just walk along the exhibit and you can start to see warmer winters, hotter summers, longer heat waves. And within a minute, you got it. You understand. And to cross-reference that with an art form that's so popular in the Hudson Valley, you know, we have the Sheep and Wool Festival here in Rhinebeck. Our libraries across the Hudson Valley are hosting fiber arts groups all over the place. And I want to tell you a fun story about that in a minute. But what was so wonderful is to see the passion people had to participate together to create this collaborative art installation that's data driven and really celebrates a hobby for a lot of people it's often seen as a woman's art form that doesn't often get elevated to the level that other art forms do.
Sure.
So to see their faces light up when they got to see their work with everyone else's was really fantastic.
I've seen a couple of pictures of the panels. I know we had 2 of our Flying Needles participants, Sandy and Jean, took part in it, and the panels were amazing. And I know there was a year that everybody got to pick, right? And we picked 1950 because it's the year that we, as a library, got our charter. So how did the other libraries choose their years?
So it was a mixture. Some libraries picked a year for themselves. So I picked 1959 because that was the year the Mid-Hudson Library System was founded, and then one of my trustees knit the Tempestry for us.
Oh, nice.
Other people picked something very personal to them. They chose the year they got married, or the year their parents got married, or the year their first child was born. And so part of the installation is hearing the stories of why people picked the year they picked. And that was, we have it actually bound, and it will soon be available publicly where people can read why did someone pick 1950 or 1959. But it also allowed for people to really look back to that time in their lives. So when we were hearing the stories of the knitters, one of our trustees today was just saying, I just remember how hot it was at my high school graduation, and I knit to that level, and that memory came back to me. So it was an interesting kind of memory access exercise as well.
That's so cool. So when you're looking at the panels, what are you actually seeing?
So what you're seeing is what looks like a rainbow. But what you're looking at is the data for each day of the year. How hot or cool was it that day? So if in January, on January 1st, it was 20 degrees. On January 2nd, it was 22 degrees. The color corresponds to the number. So you'll see it start kind of in the blues. That's cooler, right? And then you'll see in the springtime, it gets a little yellow because it's getting warmer. In the summertime, it starts to get orange and red when it gets much hotter. And then you see it cool down towards the latter part of the year.
Which is why they're so beautiful. The gradient shades of colors and stuff, it really is a remarkable piece to look at. I think it's so interesting to be able to use art and statistics together like that. It makes it just so much more interesting. So how many libraries participated?
Let's see. We had, I think, 35 of our 66 libraries participated, and they recruited 130 knitters.
Wow.
And that was my fun story I wanted to tell you was we were advertising this on Earth Day last year. We announced the project. We told all the libraries it was coming, and I held my breath because we'd never done anything like this before. I was like, I hope I'm right about this. And it only took a week and a half for 130 knitters to volunteer. We sold out immediately.
Wow.
So we had another library system ask us, could we partner with you on that? That's a very big undertaking. And I was like, no, actually, we're done. We got this.
That was awesome. yeah, there was a lot of interest.
Yes.
And that was wonderful to see. I know Patterson is, there is such a great focus on conservation issues and sustainability in the environment. We are right at the Great Swamp here. So we have so many groups that are so interested. So this is a project that I know will be of great interest to our patrons and community here. What is the range of towns that have gotten involved in communities, like from Dutchess? They're all from Dutchess or
across our
Putnam
system,
and everywhere.
Yeah, so we serve 5 counties through the Mid-Hudson Library System: Columbia, Greene, Dutchess, Ulster, and Putnam County. We had knitters from all 5
From all of them.
counties throughout the system area. We got to meet so many lovely people we wouldn't have otherwise met, but it was really lovely to see everyone pitch in and help out with this.
And you just had a kickoff event at Mohonk Mountain House. Why Mohonk?
The data set is actually collected at the Mohonk Preserve, which is owned by the same family that owns the Mohonk Mountain House. So when we reached out and said, we used your data for this art project, they were thrilled. And when we asked if we could host the opening reception there, they jumped at the opportunity. They waived the cost to rent the room. They were
nice.
wonderful partners, and we got to have a celebration of the knitters in a really special place. If you've been to the Mohonk Mountain House, which is not a lot of us have, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so to have that be the place to thank the knitters for what they did, and the first time people got to see it, it was really special.
I'm sure, and it is a gorgeous place. And we actually have our museum passes for Mohonk. I know they go out all the time because it is such an amazing place. That's so interesting that that's where the data is collected. I didn't really know that until this project.
Yeah, starting in 1895. So when we think about 130 years of data starting back in 1895, yeah, it's really interesting to think about the history of that time and what's happened in the Hudson Valley since then. So it has a lot of intersections with art, like you said, and science, but also history.
I love that it brought people together, people with a common interest on many levels. So that is awesome. I know you get different reactions from people when you saw it. They got to see it. What was the reaction of people? Did they like it as a whole, as individual pieces? What did people think?
It was a true joy to watch the knitters come into the room and see it all put together and recognize they were part of something larger than the one piece they had worked on.
Yeah.
And so it was interesting to watch. They would beeline for their piece to see it. And did it survive the trip between their home and the library and the Mohonk Mountain House? And then we would hear them, it didn't matter if they were with someone or not, whoever was standing next to them, they would tell the story of, I picked this year because, and it was lovely to hear their stories. And then they started going around the room and they would notice, oh, this person didn't finish the edges of this piece, or oh, this one didn't tight, the knit isn't as tight or not. So they're looking at the craftsmanship of it.
Right.
And the third phase was kind of taking a step back and taking it all in and really seeing the full impact of the work and what the data could tell us through that art form. And it was just lovely to see people have that experience with the exhibit.
That's what I wondered about. We had these 2 women here working on it for so long, and I thought, I wonder when they see the whole thing, knowing that they're part of something greater like that, and seeing so many panels and knowing that you're part of something that is you're just a little piece of it, but when it all comes together, it's so wonderful, and a great opportunity for them to be part of something so special.
Yeah, and I was, basking in the glow of the day and this great idea that came together, and every knitter, as they walked out, they said, thank you, but what's next? They want to do something else together, so we got to come up with another good idea.
Collaborative art projects seem to be really a thing right now. We celebrated 3 artists that did this collaborative project during COVID, and we had so many people contact us after we had them on our podcast and we did a program. It was just amazing how people just like to come together and put different ideas to work and then see the final projects. It's so fascinating.
Right, it brings the idea of a community together, that
Yes.
together we're stronger than we are apart. So
Absolutely.
I love that libraries are the catalyst to make projects like that come together.
Oh, you went right into my next question.
Oh, good.
So why are not libraries a natural fit for things like this, for this kind of project?
Yeah, so I think public libraries in particular, we are the community living room in a lot of ways, where people find themselves when they're new to town and want to learn about their community or meet new people. We're a place of learning where people are educating themselves about the world around us. us, whether it's through a program they come to at the library or reading a book about a topic or reading a story about someone's life that educates them as to the, this weird thing we're in called life, to understand it. And so I think for libraries to take a more proactive role, to be catalysts for really positive experiences for people, it will really help, I think, create stronger communities over time, because it's like an excuse to get together with your neighbors, which is harder to find these days as people are very tied to technology, being online, social media, texting people. But to have an excuse to come into a physical space with other people and have a positive experience, that's what makes, I think, our community stronger.
I agree. We see it here all the time. And a project like this also starts a conversation. And I think it is an opportunity to take what they see and the data and how it's represented. And to your point, how easy it is to see it when you're seeing it visually, as opposed to reading it and keeping the stats in your head and all of that. And really starting a conversation. That's really important to have.
And what we're seeing is the libraries that are hosting the traveling exhibit, they're pairing the exhibit with programming. So we have a library that's bringing in a famous a weather person, a meteorologist, to come in and do a talk at the opening reception. We've got libraries that are doing STEM programs with children when the exhibit gets to their community. So it's
That's
a
awesome.
nice excuse also, I think, for some other learning opportunities.
And a natural fit to programming, for sure. I have a friend who's a meteorologist, and we had a great discussion after I did the climate change talk. And there is such an interest and the different viewpoints and perspectives that they bring to the table. So I'm really anxious to talk about this one a little bit more with him to see how that's all going to play out and what they think, because the perspective that he had on climate change, and then knowing that we were doing this project, I thought that'll make a great talk. I think it would be of interest to a lot of people. So, do you knit yourself?
I don't. And ironically, I'm allergic to wool. So they were laughing at me because as we were hanging the exhibit, I had rubber gloves on, trying to just not breathe it in. But I do want to comment that the wool itself, the women who run the Tempestry Project, Emily and Ozzy, Emily is a librarian herself. They both work at Vassar. So it was like kindred spirits. But they've been so responsible in how they've sourced the wool that was used in the kits the knitters used. So they wanted to make sure it was from America, that it was dyed with natural dyes, so no toxic chemicals were used to create the colors that you see in the kits. They drive to Philadelphia to pick up the wool to make sure it was made in America. They're really conscientious people who really thought holistically about the experience for the knitter. They map the data to the colors for them, so the knitter doesn't have to figure it out. So it's just such a thoughtful organization, and it was a privilege to partner with them. But no, I don't knit, and I got teased endlessly for it, expecting others to knit for me. I wanted the Tempestry for 1974 because that's when my parents were married. But someone I didn't even know volunteered to help me do that. So when my dad came to see the exhibit, you got to see the one that was dedicated to him and my mom.
Oh, how nice. And it's funny because I don't knit either. And our Flying Needles group is a lovely bunch of women. And then we started getting a lot of young people that come in and knit, college students, and they're making all kinds of great stuff. So it seems to be a trend, much like Mahjong is having its moment. I think so is knitting. It's coming back again. That's at least what we're seeing here.
I think during COVID, a lot of younger folks picked up hobbies they might not have otherwise picked up, and knitting really took off.
I know. It's funny to see as things change and times change, what becomes a trend and what becomes something my grandmother used to do. And then I'm thinking, maybe it's because I'm getting older and now it seems like people are just younger. Are they really that much younger? I don't know. But then it was like a bunch of high school kids, college kids are sitting, and some of our own staffers in the kitchen knitting while they're doing, other things. So it is fun to see how our programming changes as time goes on. But certainly I'm really glad to see that some of our knitters participated because they were so excited to be part of it.
I think that's wonderful that we've got representation here in Patterson to, bring that home, and hopefully it's something you can bring here to Patterson so others can experience it.
Yeah, I would love to get the display here because I do think there would be so much interest. We have a lot of artwork on our walls throughout the year, and a lot of very crafty people and talented people. And you can see we have some fabric art on the walls as we speak. people just love it. They come in, they take a look at it, and as you just saw, somebody just bought a piece. So,
very cool.
Yeah, that is cool. So it is really important to us to have art, to be surrounded by art, and I love that on Mid-Hudson, at your level, you brought it all together, because I know you do so many fabulous things at your level. You're terrific at what you do, and I'm here almost 20 years, and I've known you that long and watched you, and I know at one point you were in Hawaii for your sustainability work, right? And Mid-Hudson Library is certified, the first library system to be certified. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So as it was really about 15 years ago now, we started thinking about the role of libraries in helping communities adapt in the face of climate change and what that would mean. And the magnitude of the work was such that we knew it wasn't about having a workshop here or there. And it actually resulted in a group of us here in New York getting together and just having a retreat and brainstorming what do library leaders need to be successful. And it resulted in, honestly, the first thing we did was how we talk about sustainability. We defined it, because when you use the word sustainable, people think of all different things, from finance to ecology. And we really talked about the need to make balanced decisions that respect not only how much something costs in terms of dollars, but also what does it cost in terms of natural resources and human health. Sure. And so those three things together we call the triple bottom line. And we want people to find balance in the decisions they make amongst the financial cost of something, how it affects human health, and the effect on the environment. And when you can make a decision that's pretty good for all three of those things, you're going to make a more sustainable choice moving forward. Sure. And that works from the large to the small. So if you're buying office supplies, you can think about it. If you're building a new building, you can think about it. Absolutely. If you're measuring how healthy your community is, that's another way to think about it. And the idea really stuck. People in our profession were very interested. We started getting invited around the world to talk about it. I've been to 7 countries and 31 states to talk about this. And then the American Library Association, it caught fire throughout our profession. People were so interested, they voted to make it a core value of our profession.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
now, along with ensuring access to information, intellectual freedom and privacy, the public good, democracy, and sustainability is the 5th core value of our profession now.
That's awesome.
So it's now mandated to be taught in library schools. And then we created the certification program to help libraries practice making better decisions for the future using this model of understanding, libraries, as much as we don't have a lot of money, we do spend money. And when we do, we should be making choices that reflect our values.
Sure.
So when we have the chance to buy a piece of office furniture or technology, are we working with companies that reflect our values? Are we respecting taxpayer dollars? Are we making sure that when something needs to be, end of useful life, where does it go? And understand that sometimes it's going into another community where it ends up polluting water or air. And so can we, purchase things that can be reused or repurposed or will biodegrade and then not negatively impact people and the environment? So it really has become this whole movement across the profession, which is super exciting. We now have over 70 libraries in the US and Canada that have finished the certification program, but the Mid-Hudson Library System was the first. But since I wrote the certification program, it was probably easier for us than it was other libraries. But I get to go to the certification celebrations of other libraries. I was just in Vermont at the Charlotte Library that finished, and it was so awesome to see all the things they did, from rain barrels for gray water harvesting for their landscaping, which is so smart. They had artwork that reflected the commitment to the environment that local people had done, bike repair station to encourage people to ride their bike to the library, just so many thoughtful things they did.
I know here we have a sustainability committee, and I was on it when it first started, and I know how far we've come since we started it, from the LED lighting to our EV chargers, and how even in the garden, we don't use anything, we're very, we're really conscious of what we do. And in every choice, like I said, it's deliberate and it's a thoughtful, mindful choice. So right down to our products that we use for cleaning, and it does make a difference. I know it's important to us, and I'm really glad that we're part of it. And I know we have a great staff here that's all on board. So kudos to you, because I know that you spearheaded that and in a very big way. So I'm thrilled that the rest of the communities are enjoying this panel this whole exhibit of all these beautiful panels that are going to be around. How can people see this?
So short term, the quickest way to see it will be starting in July. On July 11th, the exhibit will be starting at the Mahopac Library or the Mahopac Library, depending on how long you've lived in Putnam County. So that will be on display for 2.5 months. So this summer, the best place to see it is at the Mahopac Library. And then it will travel on to 6 other libraries after that. So the schedule's on the website, but that's the one closest to home. And then it will wrap up at the very end of 2027 in Putnam Valley. So that will be another visit to Putnam County.
Close. Okay. And I know we hope to be part of that when it reopens again, and we'll have it closer to home here.
Sounds good.
Well, thank you so much for being on today, Rebekkah,
my pleasure.
and for sharing all of the great things happening at Mid-Hudson. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I just want to say thank you for what you're doing. I love this idea of the podcast featuring local people and local talent. I think that's really important to how we create closer communities, that we really have respect and understanding for our neighbors. And this is a lovely way to highlight very special people in our communities that might not otherwise have their story told. So really just want to compliment you on what you've created here. This is really awesome.
Oh, thank you. We are thrilled to be able to bring this to our community, and we are really lucky to have so many people willing to come on, and we've spoken to so many great people from our government officials and town officials to local residents and all kinds of people that have been wonderful. And thankfully, we had a generous donor, Mr. Paul Camarda, who is a local businessman and builder, and he got us the equipment, so got us started. And we had our trustees kick in a little bit too, and that's how this all started. And with the help of a great professional sound engineer who just fell in our lap, Adam Bernier, we were able to pull it off. So
it's that old adage, right? Local supports local.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. Very nice to be here.
Thank you for tuning in to the Patterson Library Connection. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to help us grow, please share it with a friend. You can follow and subscribe to our podcast on our website at pattersonlibrary.org, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. This podcast was recorded at the Patterson Library in Patterson, New York. Special thanks to our sound engineer, producer, and composer, Adam Bernier, our library director, Stephanie Harrison, our board of trustees, and to you, our listeners. I'm your host, Lillie Muscente. We'll see you next time on the Patterson Library Connection. The Patterson Library trustees and staff do not promote nor endorse the opinions of our guests.